Pat, we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs who are watching this, business owners from all walks of life, home business. There's coaches, consultants, chiropractors, health professionals, tax attorneys, all sorts of different business owners who are watching us right now. And I'm sure you get this question. I've heard you answer this question, actually. I'm sure you will always continue to get this. If you had to start over from scratch right now, whatever the market was, whatever the niche vertical, no money, not much money, maybe a little bit for ad spend, but no lists, no influence, no anything, no Pat Flynn just yet. What goes through your mind to restart and create some type of passive income flow? How would you go about doing that today?
Well, first of all, realizing first that the passive income is sort of the final step of this whole process. You have to solve people's problems first. And to do that without doing any work doesn't really make any sense. You got to put in the work. You got to understand what those pains and problems are. And then later you start to create these solutions. And oftentimes those solutions aren't yet passive. You create passive ways to make those solutions happen by either automation with tools or hiring other people to do things for you. A lot of the businesses I run are run by others. And that's cool because it's passive for me. The business continues to run and I'm helping them with their life and making the income too. So everybody wins, which is awesome. But where I would start, which would be combining an interest that I have with the curiosity to figure out what could be done to improve that space. That's a very, very key term there, is that curiosity. How can I make things better for those kinds of people? And if it aligns with something that I do, well, then that would be even better. Because then I'm also my own sort of target audience. But going into that space and just truly trying to talk to as many people as possible, going to conferences and driving 8 hours to go and attend the conference. And even if I couldn't afford to go and actually attend the conference, I'd go and wait outside and start to make relationships with people who were there because I knew that those were the people I wanted to serve. That's step one. Now I need to understand from them, in their own words, what's going on. What do they wish was better? What's something that they're doing that is only halfway good? What's something that could be done more conveniently? What are other tools that they're using that just don't have the features that they want? I need to know all these things. And more specifically, I'm creating what's called a market map in this situation. I'm understanding where people are, so not just offline, but online as well. Make a whole list of all the places where people are. The second P of these 3 Ps is the people. Who are the influencers, the people who have already earned this trust with that particular audience? I want to know about them. I want to know why people like them. I want to know what they're talking about, what's popular, what people dislike about them. And then finally, the third P is the products. What products are they already buying? What are they spending their money on? Or what is actually out there that is serving them already? With those 3 things combined, I can find the fourth and final P, which is my position. The position in that space to better serve that audience. And it's cool because even if you have a business already, you can go in there and you create this market map. And it's called a map because it guides you. It shows you how the lay of the land is so that you can understand how you can place yourself there in a better position than what is already in existence. They often say, you got to stand out of the crowd, but how do you know how to stand out of the crowd if you don't know what's in the crowd in the first place? So that's what that whole exercise is about. And any of us can do that right now and benefit from it because you'll have a better understanding of who your audience is. And then from there, you go to those places, you talk to those people. You're not even trying to sell them anything because you have no idea what to sell them yet. A lot of people struggle because they're like, ooh, I'm going to build this product. Yeah. They build that product and then they shout from the rooftops like, guys, buy my thing. And nobody buys it. Why? Because you guessed. Mm-hmm. The whole thing here is I want to remove as much guesswork as possible. And what's really cool is like most of the stuff I've already talked about is like free. I haven't paid for anything yet. I'm just paying with my time, investing that all up front so I can reap the benefits later. And then it's about, okay, understanding what the biggest pain points are and what other solutions out there had attempted to solve that problem, but where they are lacking. How can I build something better or different? And oftentimes better doesn't mean more features. Better doesn't necessarily mean fancier. It may mean easier. It may mean simpler, right? So I have to figure out what they're looking for. And then I create essentially a prototype of some kind. If it's a digital product, like an online course that people seem to need, they need information that's not out there or not structured in a way that can help them, then my prototype is the outline of what that course might be. If it's a physical product, I might go find somebody to 3D print it or literally like cut it out of cardboard or draw it in a 3D program or something, just so I have something to go back to those people in those places and go, hey, what do you think of this? Tell me your gut reaction to this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't really like this. I wish it had this instead. Great. Thank you for telling me now instead of after I've spent all this money and time building this thing. Again, I'm removing the guesswork. They're telling me exactly what I should be doing. And then the finale of all this is to borrow something from the Tim Ferriss book, 4 Hour Workweek, and that's to actually pre-sell this thing. So there was a chapter in the 4 Hour Workweek about, and I think he used the example of validation through creating a website that sold, I think, shirts of some kind, and actually having like a buy now button that says, click here to buy now. Sorry, we're out of stock, but thank you for letting us know. That's validation for him as to whether or not people actually want to buy that thing. I prefer to not create a website and sort of fake it. I actually would go back to those same people who I spoke to and go, hey, okay, you and like 20 other people said this is the thing they need. Well, I'm going to build it. I'm going to build it, and I want you to be one of the first ones to use it for $99, for $200, depends on what it is, but for a price. You ask them to pay for it up front. Mm-hmm. But that's weird. Like, who would do that? Well, guess what? Everybody's doing this on Kickstarter right now. Yeah. When you pay for things like an event, you pay for it up front, right? So that you can have the thing that you want, or you can go to the place that you want that is coming. So you let those people know exactly what you're going to build. You get them in early. You go, okay, I'm going to pre-sell this. If I get 20 people to buy it, then I'm going to build it. If not, I'm just going to refund your money. No problem. I'll stay in contact with you throughout the process. Actually, I'm going to be more in contact with you than you are with me, because I'm going to ask you how you're feeling throughout this whole build. If it's an online course, all right, guys, in 2 weeks, I'm going to deliver the first video to you. And I want you to do those exercises in there. And I want you to come back to me and tell me how it went and what you felt was missing and blah, 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 blah. It's almost like the beta version of it. I don't like calling it the beta version, though, because typically that means like the crap version of something. Yeah. So I typically will say, it's the early launch or the champion members or the champion group. Something like that. You can create whatever name you want, really. But the whole purpose is so that I can work with them to build the thing. If it's a physical product, all right, guys, here's the next prototype, like showing it on the live stream in that Facebook group you create. Like, what do you think of this? What should it do? And the trick is to just understand exactly what they need to solve that problem. And now you're not building that remote control that AT&T Uverse gives you, which has like 100 buttons on it that you never use. Yeah. You're building only the thing that they need and nothing more. And this is how you build your MVP, your minimum viable product. And it's viable and it's proven because you've worked with them and this will sell because it's going to help them. Now, what's really cool about this process as well, and I'm sorry I'm rambling here.
I love it. Keep going.
Process. This is what I talk about in my book, Will It Fly? But let's say you get all this validation from people. They say, yeah, I'm interested in it. I would buy it. And then you build the thing like the prototype and you go, okay, guys, I'm going to pre-sell it. Here it is. And then you get crickets. Nobody buys. Is it a failure? No, it's actually great because guess what? It's so good that you pre-sold it and didn't make sales instead of built the thing and then sold it and didn't make any sales. Now you can go, okay, guys, you said you needed this thing. Here it is. What's the issue? Like, why aren't you going into this? Really interesting things happen when you have these conversations. People will begin to make excuses. Oh, it's not, it's just, they'll make whatever excuse in the book. You take those excuses, you write them down because now that's what likely other people are going to say when you sell this thing in the future. You might get people saying, it's just too expensive. Whenever you hear somebody say it's too expensive, what they're really saying is, I just don't think what you are offering matches this price that I'm going to have to pay for it. So there's a messaging problem. Or they might literally go, that's not what I had in mind. I had this in mind instead. So again, it removes the guesswork. So we're taking steps and iterations to understand whether or not we are ready to move on to the next step. And of course, the dream is you create the thing with that group and you have these people who are the first to access it so they feel special. You build it and you have these testimonials now that you can use when you launch the thing public. And the best part about this, and this is what helped me the most by going through this process, is now you can be completely confident in what you're selling. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs struggle. They build something and they're like, I'm not sure. This could work. Maybe it'll help them, maybe not. If you feel that way, how do you think your customers are going to feel? They're going to feel the exact same way. I don't know if this works. But if you are so confident and and it's proven that this thing, whatever it is you're going to build is going to work, or service or program, then you're going to go above and beyond to sell it the right way. And it's not aggressive. It's being assertive because you are confident in it. And that's the way that I would approach how I would start something from scratch. Yeah,
man. For everyone listening, just the research and getting boots on the ground and collecting data. And, you're going to hear when you tune into Pat's stuff, it's always all about the customer. It really, like, their problems, their pains, their challenges. And it's been like, that is where he comes from. And to get that information up. In fact, Pat, it was just, shoot, it was one of your recent podcasts. You were interviewing a guy or coaching a guy in the health and wellness space. And one of the simple things to do, just quick survey on Instagram and tell them to direct message you, what keeps them up at night? What are your biggest problems? And then I know in our audience, we think we need to spend a bunch of money to build, get traffic, get all these prospects. But if you just build a tiny audience and tell them to direct message you their exact pain, that should be customer number one in your new venture. And I thought that was a great do you remember what?
I don't remember what episode number it was, but that was on an Ask Pat episode where I coach people through the process. And oftentimes we try to overcomplicate everything.
Totally.
I mean, that's typically the life of an entrepreneur. How complicated can we make this process? And we have to think about the opposite of that, which is, okay, if this were, and I got this from Tim Ferriss as well, if this were simple, what would it look like? If this were simple, what would it look like? Try to build for that. And that's going to make your life so much easier. It's going to be easier on your customers and your audience when they start seeing these messages coming from you. And the DM thing, I mean, that's so smart because it's one-on-one. It's not a public thing. It's private. And now you have a relationship started somewhere where a person already is, versus what is very common in entrepreneurship is, I'm going to go to social media, but then I'm going to try to get them on email before I ever try to figure out what's going on with them, right? Which is okay to do. And I think that's smart because you're building an email list. But why not, in the context of the platform where people are, start having conversations with them there? And this is where we lose the social and social media. A lot of people try to automate too much. And I feel like we can always go back to, I think Gary Vee calls it like small town rules, like going back to old small town days where everybody knew each other's name and what was going on in each other's family. I mean, that's why people would go shop at Bob the Baker's bakery, because they knew Bob, and Bob would see a customer come in and be like, Charlie, what's up, man? How's great job on the soccer game last weekend or whatever. And it's like those small things that you get in those intimate small groups can be done right now with what we have. We just don't approach it that way.
Yeah. I mean, engagement, that's it, man. So many, just to connect with the customer or potential customer, learned a lot of that from you, and just harping on that just to the nth degree to understand that and do that, like kind of the whole idea to not go out there and waste a bunch of time and money to collect the data and to bring it to market with a quote unquote beta test is just smart,
Yeah.
Yeah.